My boss called me to a meeting with HR. David, after 12 years, we're getting rid of your job, she said with a smirk. Clean out your desk by Thursday. I smiled and said, I get it. They didn't know how crazy Tuesday would go. David, after 12 years, we're eliminating your role. My name is David Ruttold. I'm 49 years old, and I spent 12 years building something at Keystone Medical Solutions that nobody else could see. While other procurement officers shuffled papers and chased quarterly savings reports, I built relationships, real ones. The kind where vendors called my personal cell when hurricanes hit their warehouses, and hospital administrators knew my voice before I said my name. Michelle Harmon sat across from me in that sterile conference room, her satisfied smirk telling me everything I needed to know. She was 37, hired 6 months ago to modernize operations after the merger with North Point Healthcare Group. New leadership meant new ideas. Apparently, loyalty and proven results were old ideas. We've appreciated your service, but the company's moving in a new direction, she continued, sliding a manila folder across the table. Clean out your desk by Thursday. I smiled and nodded. I get it. The HR representative, a nervous woman named Janet, shifted uncomfortably as she explained severance packages and benefits. Michelle checked her phone twice during the meeting. When they asked if I had questions, I shook my head. Thanks for the opportunity, I said, standing up. 12 years was a good run. Michelle's smirk widened. She thought I was taking it well, broken, defeated, ready to shuffle out quietly like the other veterans she had already pushed aside. What she didn't know was that during the pandemic supply shortages 3 years ago, when hospitals were desperate and vendors were overwhelmed, I had quietly restructured our most critical contracts, not under Keystone Medical Solutions, but under David Ruttold Procurement Services, a consulting firm I had registered during the chaos. It was perfectly legal. The hospitals needed supplies. The vendors needed reliable partners. I delivered both. Those relationships weren't built on corporate letterhead. They were built on trust. On late-night phone calls when shipments went missing, on finding alternative suppliers when the usual ones failed, on remembering that the procurement manager at St. Mary's Hospital had a diabetic daughter and making sure insulin was never backordered. I walked back to my desk and started packing. 12 years of industry awards went into a cardboard box. Photos of my late wife, Catherine, went carefully into my briefcase. The Rolodex stayed right where it was. Let them figure out what those phone numbers meant. My cell phone buzzed. A text from Tony Valdez at Harrison Medical Supply, heard rumors about changes at Keystone. Everything okay? I typed back, all good. Might have some interesting news soon. Michelle walked past my cubicle, probably checking to make sure I wasn't stealing office supplies. She had no idea what she had just set in motion. I started at Keystone right after Catherine died. Needed something to focus on besides the empty house and the medical bills. Procurement wasn't glamorous, but it made sense. Find what people need, get it to them reliably, build systems that work. The first few years were about learning the business. Medical supplies weren't like office equipment or construction materials. When a hospital ran out of surgical sutures, people died. When ventilator parts were backordered, families suffered. I took that seriously. My first major success came during a shortage of cardiac stents in 2018. Our usual supplier had manufacturing issues, and 3 of our hospital partners were facing surgery delays. I spent a weekend calling every contact I could find, finally locating surplus inventory at a distributor in Phoenix.